Your timeline is unique, and the moment you truly understand this, half of your inner pressure disappears. Stop measuring your life with someone else's clock. Stop asking why they achieved it earlier, why their success looks louder, why their progress seems faster. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are learning at your own pace. Life does not hand out the same syllabus to everyone. Some people are taught through comfort, others through storms, and both are forms of education. When you compare, you disrespect the lessons that were designed specifically for you. Listen carefully. Comparison is not motivation, it is distraction. It steals your focus, drains your confidence, and convinces you that your efforts are invisible. But growth is often silent before it is visible. Roots grow underground before a tree ever shows fruit. Your struggle right now may not look productive to others, but it is building strength, patience, and clarity inside you. These qualities cannot be rushed, borrowed, or copied. You don't see the battles behind someone else's smile, and you don't need to. Your responsibility is not to match their speed, but to stay honest with your direction. Ask yourself if you are becoming wiser, stronger, more aware than yesterday. That is the only comparison that matters. Every delay is not denial. Sometimes it is preparation. Sometimes life slows you down so you don't break when success arrives. Take pride in walking alone if you must. Trust the pauses. Respect the process. Learn deeply instead of arriving quickly. When you honor your own timing, you stop chasing validation and start building a life that is solid, intentional, and truly yours. Pain is not here to destroy you, even when it feels unbearable, even when it knocks the breath out of your chest and leaves you questioning everything you believed in. Pain arrives as a strict teacher, not a cruel enemy. If you keep asking, why me? You remain stuck in suffering, but the moment you ask, what is this teaching me? Pain begins to transform into purpose. Every heartbreak, every failure, every loss carries a lesson that no comfort ever could. Comfort makes you passive. But pain forces awareness, and awareness is the beginning of real growth. Let the pain speak, but do not let it define you. Sit with it, study it. Understand what it reveals about your strength, your values, your limits, and your courage. Pain strips away illusions and shows you what truly matters. It teaches empathy, patience, and humility. It makes you deeper, not weaker. The strongest people you admire were not shaped by easy lives, they were educated by hardship and refined by resilience. Do not rush to escape pain without learning from it. If you ignore the lesson, life will repeat the chapter, louder and heavier each time. Reflection is how pain becomes wisdom. Write it down, pray through it, think through it, and ask yourself how this experience is sharpening you. Purpose is not found in comfort zones. It is discovered in broken places where you choose not to give up. One day you will realize that the very thing that hurt you also prepared you to help others, to lead with compassion, to speak with authenticity, and to stand with unshakable strength. Pain does not end your story. It edits it, deepens it, and gives it meaning if you allow it to teach you instead of turning you bitter. Self-awareness is not something you are born with. It is something you build layer by layer through honesty and courage. Most people spend their lives learning about the world but avoid learning about themselves, and that is why they remain confused, reactive, and emotionally exhausted. If you do not understand your own mind, your triggers, your fears, and your patterns, life will keep controlling you. The moment you decide to observe yourself instead of judging yourself, real education begins. Pay attention to what makes you angry, what makes you afraid, what makes you shut down or overreact. These reactions are not weaknesses, they are signals. They are telling you where healing is needed and where growth is waiting. When you become aware, you stop blaming people and circumstances for your emotions and start taking responsibility for your responses. Responsibility is not about guilt, it is about power. Because what you understand, you can change. Sit with yourself in silence sometimes. Ask hard questions. Why does rejection hurt you so deeply? Why do you fear being alone? Why do you seek approval? These answers are uncomfortable, but they are freeing. Awareness turns emotional chaos into clarity. You stop repeating the same mistakes because you finally see the pattern. You stop reacting from old wounds and start responding from wisdom. Self-awareness also teaches boundaries. You learn when to say no without guilt, when to walk away without explaining, and when to stand firm without aggression. You begin to choose growth over comfort and truth over validation. This is how discipline is formed from the inside out. When you know who you are, you stop trying to be everything for everyone. The more you understand yourself, the calmer you become. Your confidence grows quietly. Your decisions become intentional. And slowly, without noise or force, you start living instead of merely surviving, because awareness gives you control, direction, and the strength to become the person you were meant to be. Consistency is not loud, it does not announce itself, and it rarely feels exciting. But it is the most honest form of self-respect you will ever practice. Big dreams do not collapse because of lack of talent. They collapse because people wait for motivation, instead of committing to small daily actions. Discipline is built in moments when no one is watching, when the results are invisible, and when quitting would be easier than continuing. If you can show up on ordinary days, you will become unstoppable on extraordinary ones. Do not underestimate small actions repeated daily. 5 minutes of focus every day will outperform 5 hours of effort once a month. Growth is not created by intensity alone, it is created by rhythm. When you read a few pages daily, when you practice one skill consistently, when you choose effort over excuses again and again, you are quietly educating your character. This is how confidence is formed, not from applause, but from promises kept to yourself. Consistency trains your mind before it trains your skills. It teaches patience when results are slow. It teaches humility when progress is invisible. It teaches trust in the process when doubt whispers that nothing is changing. But something is always changing. You may not see it today, but repetition is shaping you internally before it ever shows externally. Stop waiting to feel ready. Readiness is a byproduct of action, not a prerequisite. Start tired, start uncertain, start imperfect. Consistency does not demand perfection, it demands commitment. Miss a day and forgive yourself, but do not miss twice. Return again and aga. Because returning is also discipline. Over time, small actions compound into massive transformation. What once felt difficult becomes automatic. What once required effort becomes identity. You stop forcing discipline because discipline becomes who you are. And when discipline becomes identity, success stops being accidental and starts becoming inevitable through steady, quiet, relentless consistency. Failure is not the end of your story, even though it tries to convince you that it is. Failure speaks loudly, it shakes your confidence, questions your worth, and makes you doubt your abilities. But listen carefully, failure is information, not a verdict. It shows you what didn't work, where you need to grow, and what skills are still missing. If you treat failure as shame, it will paralyze you, but if you treat it as feedback, it will educate you. Most people are not afraid of failing, they're afraid of being seen failing. They fear judgment more than stagnation, and that fear keeps them small. But growth demands exposure. Every successful person you admire has failed publicly, repeatedly, and painfully. What separated them was not talent, it was their willingness to study their mistakes instead of running from them. When something goes wrong, do not collapse emotionally. Pause, reflect. Ask yourself what this experience is teaching you about preparation, mindset, or effort. Failure forces honesty. It removes excuses and exposes gaps. It shows you where discipline is weak, where focus is scattered, and where expectations were unrealistic. This clarity is a gift, even when it hurts. The lesson you refuse to learn will return with more intensity. The lesson you accept will transform you into someone stronger and wiser. Do not let one failure define your identity. You are not your worst moment. You are a student in progress. Learn, adjust, and try again with better awareness. Confidence is not built by never failing. It is built by surviving failure and continuing anyway. Each failure sharpens your resilience, deepens your humility, and strengthens your courage. When you stop fearing failure, you stop fearing growth. And the moment you stop fearing growth, you unlock the freedom to move forward with clarity, strength, and unstoppable determination. Ownership of your choices is the moment you stop feeling like a victim of life and start feeling like the author of it. As long as you blame circumstances, people, timing, or luck, you give your power away. But the second you say, "This is my responsibility, even if it hurts, even if it's unfair," you reclaim control over your direction. Ownership is not about self-criticism. It is about self-leadership. It is the decision to stand in truth instead of hiding behind excuses. Every choice you make or avoid making shapes your confidence. When you own your decisions, you stop waiting for permission and start acting with intention. You no longer live in regret, because even mistakes become lessons you chose to learn from. Empowerment does not come from having an easy life. It comes from knowing that no matter what happens, you will respond with integrity and courage. Taking ownership also means accepting consequences without resentment. This builds emotional maturity. You stop saying life is happening to me and start saying life is responding to me. Your mindset shifts from helplessness to possibility. When you choose your reactions consciously, no one can manipulate your peace or direction. Ownership demands honesty with yourself. You must admit when you are procrastinating, when fear is disguised as comfort, and when excuses are blocking your growth. This honesty is uncomfortable, but it is also freeing. The more responsibility you take, the lighter you feel because clarity replaces confusion and action replaces anxiety. When you own your journey, comparison loses its power, fear loses its grip, and confidence grows naturally. You stop chasing approval because you are aligned with your values. You move forward with calm strength, knowing that even if the path is uncertain, the choice to walk, it is yours, and that choice alone makes you powerful.